That down, guys. Let's move on to our next issue here, shall we? And that is this. Spider-Man, Brand New Day is on its way. They're shooting the film now. Like it's in production. They are shooting it. Tom Holland has been putting out set pictures and videos of himself. They're actually shooting the movie. And one of the things that we recently found out was the dude who played Scorpion. I think he was in Better Call Saul. The dude who played Scorpion at the very end of Spider-Man Homecoming. We only got one glimpse of him in the prison, then we never saw him again. He's coming back to play Scorpion. But this guy might be teasing that he's not just coming back as Scorpion. He might be coming back as Venom. Venom Scorpion, new Scorpion, whatever you want to call him. This comes to us from Comic Book Movie.
Scorpion.
Spider-Man Brand New Day actor Michael Mando teases Scorpion return and possible a venomous transformation. And basically we'll just skip down to his social media posts. Where's this? He put out the picture of himself in makeup with Scorpion tattoo on his neck and everything. But he also posted the cover of a comic book issue where Scorpion gets the Venom symbiote.
There is that droplet
that did get left behind that they've never touched on before.
Same shit, different symbiote.
I don't know if it'll be that droplet that he gets or if they're going to do something else. But listen, look, does this mean that we're going to get Venom in Spider-Man Brand New Day? It does not automatically mean that. It could just be, look, maybe he just wanted to post a cool picture from the comics of Scorpion, and he just thought that was the coolest one. Honestly, it could be as simple as that. Or it could be him teasing that, remember, Sony is now done with the Venom movies. Tom Hardy's been very, very clear that was the last ride. That final Venom one, he's loved doing them, but that was the last one. Sony is now done with Venom. There, therefore, is an open door that's, Marvel could come with hat in hand and say, excuse us, Mr. Sony, can we please use Venom? And Mr. Sony says, you know what? Yeah, we're not using them. Go ahead.
Mr. Sony.
Boom, 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 boom.
And we get a Venom. Now, I already know what people are going to say if this is the case. They're overcrowding this movie already. I don't believe that at all. But it would be kind of fascinating if they did, and it'd be the first time that we'd have Marvel doing Venom. And I think that would be something to get excited about. But it wouldn't be the classic. It wouldn't be the traditional Eddie Brock Venom. It's going to be a different Venom, but this still could be exciting for people. So, Rob, there's two different questions here. Question number one is, do you think Michael Mando is teasing that his Scorpion is going to be Venom Scorpion? And then assuming that if it is this a good move for them, and how do you see them using it? What do you think?
Well, my guiding philosophy in pretty much life is, wouldn't it be cool if?
Yeah.
I got that from my friend Rob G. I always thought it, but it wasn't until he kind of codified it for me that I thought about this. And wouldn't it be cool if Scorpion was actually a Venom symbiote? Yes, I would like to see that, because I think that's a way for, I'm not saying it's going to happen. And yeah, the problem with that is I would like to see the symbiote toned down a bit from the way it was portrayed in the 3 Venom movies over at Sony. I think it might have to be a different version of that. But I could see that happening. So that I wouldn't put it past them to do it. Do I think it's actually going to happen? Jury's out. I don't have enough information to actually say. I mean, if they did it, look, I think anything could be cool with the right writing and directing. You can make, the problem is, have they thought it through? And do they have a real great reason to make Scorpion alone could be very, very cool to see that character, depending on how he's portrayed. So you don't need to make him a Venom symbiote.
You know also could have been cool? Craven. You know also could have been cool? Morbius.
What about Madam Web? Could Madam Web have been cool?
That could have been cool. If they had done Madam Web the way we initially thought they were going,
well, yeah,
with that could have been really cool.
Yeah, they effed that. They nerfed it.
Sorry, I'm not going to go negative. I'm sorry. But anyway, please continue.
I'll go negative. No, but I think Scorpion's a cool character. We know that the Hulk, Scorpion. What I really like about this? I think this is going to be a much more grounded. You're not going to have Mysterio making holograms and he's fighting in the Tower of London or whatever. I like the idea that he has to reestablish. I'm surprised this movie isn't called your favorite neighborhood Spider-Man or something. You know, it's Spider-Man Brand New Day. They have to reestablish Peter Parker. There's a lot of interesting things from a story perspective. I don't think Spider-Man's ever been better than in the first half hour of Raimi's Spider-Man 1, where you got to meet Peter Parker and see his life and how he was dealing with everything. I would love to see, and Tom Holland's talked about this, that how they're bringing it back down. They're shooting it. I love the behind the scenes practical stuff they're doing with him swinging. You know, they have that truck and he's swinging.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's some great stuff there. I like seeing that they're bringing this stuff down because look, I would go back to Iron Man 1. I don't understand why Marvel doesn't go back to the joys of a character going through the stuff. And that's what Tony Stark did. And you loved that character and it focused on him and his transition. I mean, even if you took Iron Man out of Iron Man 1 and just showed Tony Stark having a crisis of conscience, having to deal with getting his company back from his own mentor and Obadiah Stane, all that was interesting. You didn't even need it to be Iron Man. It still would have been an entertaining movie because of Tony Stark. And I think that they should do that with this movie because remember, Peter Parker doesn't exist. So you have to have a movie where what does a man whose entire identity has been erased, what does he have to do? Forget that he's Spider-Man. But what a nightmarish proposition to have everything that you ever knew about yourself, any validation you had, according to the world, he doesn't exist. And that's a really interesting existential story to follow Peter Parker on.
Sure.
And then
I agree. But you make that movie without a lot of Spider-Man.
Well,
the
no, I
audience
know.
will not receive that well.
I know, especially because it's the fourth movie. It was the
Yes.
first movie in the franchise, but this is the fourth movie, and I think that alone, and you know, I think that's why I don't think it's overstuffed, because each one of these characters is going to play into how Peter Parker reestablishes his identity, because Spider-Man's already established. But it's Peter Parker's relationship with Spider-Man that has to be rebuilt from scratch because nobody knows who Peter Parker is. So I think the core of this story is great. And I see Hulk Banner's probably going to be his new mentor in some way, shape, or form. The Punisher is probably going to get in his face about what's your methodology? How are you going to reestablish yourself? And then the Scorpion will be a villain that he has to take out. So I think there's a lot of really interesting story points that can happen in this movie. I'm excited about it, dude. As a matter of fact, I think I'm more excited about this movie than the other 3 previous Spider-Man movies, simply because they have a really interesting story at its core.
By the way, like I hate that we always have to go through this every time a movie's coming out. Somebody in the live chat we get this every time. Said, well, this movie has Hulk, Punisher, Scorpion, the symbiote. How much screen time does this leave for Spider-Man? It's the same conversation that comes with all these movies. Look, let's go back for a second to Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs. That movie had Mr. White, Mr. Orange, Mr. Blonde,
Mr. Pink,
Eddie, Mr. Pink, Holdaway, Marvin, Mr. Brown, the sheriffs, DJ. I mean, but nobody thinks of Reservoir Dogs. Think that movie's overcrowded. There's no time for anything. Yes, it does. Every movie has like 20 or 30 characters.
how many people were in Captain America Civil War?
About 700.
Yeah, well, and it was good.
Mm-hmm. And they managed to really still maintain it a Captain America centric movie. So don't worry. They could add 6 more characters to Spider-Man Brand New Day and it'll still be fine. So don't worry about that. That part's going to be okay. I listen. My only apprehension about this new Spider-Man movie, because there's a lot I'm very positive on. The one apprehension is it's our first one without John Watts. For those of you who don't know, John Watts directed the first 3 of these Spider-Man movies. Now, they've got Destin coming in, the guy who did a masterful job directing Shang-Chi and the Legend, and he's coming in to do it. And so I'm sure he's going to do a spectacular job. But with the new director, it's going to have a new feel. And I really love those Spider-Man movies, the earlier ones. So it's going to be interesting to see how the tone shifts a little bit.
Yeah, and also this is a quest movie in the sense that Peter Parker, the world has lost Peter Parker and the world doesn't know it. And Peter Parker has lost the world. And Peter Parker has to go get the world back. just like the world needs Peter Parker back. And so when someone goes on a quest, they meet many different people along the way.
Yeah.
And I see that all of these people are going to, at least in the movie that I've apparently made up in my mind, I think it's going to be good.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? I mean, it's now being teased by the actor that we could see him not only as Scorpion, but maybe as Venom. Would you be down for that? Is that what you think he's suggesting? Or do you think it's very possible we're all just reading into it too much? That's possible too. But whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.